Welcome to Contemporary Retirement. Contemporary Retirement is a public interest program focused on the retirement community. Every program has segments on legal, financial, and health issues affecting the retirement community. Contemporary Retirement is sponsored in part by a major grant from the Family Heritage Trust Company.
Contemporary Retirement is sponsored by Family Heritage Trust Company. The Family Heritage Trust Company is an independent bank chartered trust company established by local professionals to provide fiduciary services, including fee-based investment advice, trust services, retirement planning, and tax planning. The Family Heritage Trust Company is committed to client service in our communities. For more information, call the Family Heritage Trust Company at 301-631-5900.
Contemporary Retirement is sponsored in part by a grant from R. Thomas Murphy & Associates, P.C. R. Thomas Murphy & Associates is one of Franklin County's leading law firms, emphasizing estate, trust, elder law, and medical assistance planning.
Welcome to the Is It Legal feature on Contemporary Retirement. This segment focuses on various legal issues affecting the retirement community. With me today is Tom Murphy from the R. Thomas Murphy Law Firm with offices Waynesboro, Chambersburg, and McConnellsburg. Welcome to the show, Tom.
Good morning.
You know, one of the interesting things as we talk about here is there's this proliferation of organizations that would seemingly suggest that, you know, you don't need a lawyer in order to assist yourself in these long-term care. And one of the challenges is that, you know, it's almost a perpetuation of a myth that we're dealing with, that to come see us, you have to write a big check.
Yeah, and it's just, you know, the absolute wrong idea because of the ability for us to spend that time without charging a big fee and dispelling the rumors and the mistruths and get people focused on what the reality is. And they don't have to write a check to do that.
Yeah, we bill hourly for the work that we do. We offer free seminars. You send them to them, we send them to them. And the reality is we'll help people, you know, get the first baseline understanding. We can't really do free consultations much, but they're, you know, the initial fees are just not significant.
Well, and it's worth it to know what the facts are and how they affect you. We spend an inordinate amount of time just fixing the misnomers, the bad facts that are out there, and then once we get to that point, then people understand.
And one of the challenges that we have is, first of all, lawyers who, you know, took a, you know, continuing ed class 5 years ago and they think they know what they're doing. And frankly, I find that advice almost uniformly wrong.
Yeah, unfortunately, part of our education process is getting beyond what the pros have put out there, you know, financial people, CPAs, other attorneys, because it in most cases is inaccurate.
And then, of course, you know, we focused our practice on this area here a long time ago. It's not because, you know, it's some sort of a flim-flam. It's a lot of work. It requires a great deal of understanding of very complex rules. But there are a lot of opportunities, options as a result of understanding those rules.
Right, and as we've discussed previously, I mean, it takes a deep understanding of a broad area of law, but it ends up being a very narrow focus because the rules are so complicated.
We often tell people we're not in business to charge fees. We're in business to add value. And there are times where I tell people, you know, we can't help you here. We can't add any value. Or if you want us to help you, it's not because we're going to be able to protect any assets, but if on the other hand most people have any sort of resources at all, the goal is to improve the outcome, not to just charge fees.
Well, exactly, because, you know, frequently we'll tell people, you know, this is what's going to happen. We have a life expectancy of this. It's not going to be worthwhile. We can't help you, and people understand that.
But you're at least doing it from a basis of knowledge. So we were talking the other week about these supposed Medicaid agencies in Pennsylvania. We haven't seen them in Maryland with the operative word yet. But those organizations are sponsored by nursing homes to essentially get people to think they're getting independent advice that is of no benefit.
Right, and they basically are helping people spend their money unnecessarily instead of getting them the correct voice, the correct options that they would have.
And then we have a problem that I see with contracts with lawyers that say essentially, give me $10,000, you don't have anybody in a nursing home, but I'll be your best friend for life.
Yeah.
Now, you know, I've never entered into such a contract. I'm sure your firm hasn't.
Yeah.
And we look at it and say, you know, when you're sitting there with no person immediately in a nursing home, that fee just makes no sense for the value that's purportedly being offered.
Well, exactly. That's like, you know, giving your doctor 10 grand just to be your buddy. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. If you need services, you pay for the services as you go. And the reality is, it's not a good deal for the consumer.
You know, I oftentimes use this analogy when people ask me about that contract. I say, well, first of all, we don't do it. But secondly, there's a 1 in 4 chance you'll spend nearly 3 years in a nursing home. What's it also mean? There's nearly a 3 in 4 chance you won't.
Right.
And those people that are prepaid for those legal services, that with a 3 in 4 chance they're not going to use them, just doesn't make any sense.
Exactly. And so you pay for things as you need them. And there's going to be quality advice out there when you need it. Pay for it then.
Well, and the other problem with these contracts is we have no idea what the rules are going to be by the time a person might have that kind of an issue anyway. And so our position is if you're coming in, you have an immediate crisis, I can tell you what the rules are and I can help you figure out whether or not we add any value to it. Mm-hmm. But on the other hand, if you're going to engage in that contract, which I want to reemphasize again, we don't think makes any sense, that $10,000 best friend for life stuff, we have absolutely no idea what the rules might be by the time you actually had a crisis.
Right, so keep your flexibility and pay as you go, and I think you'll be better off with the money in your pocket.
Well, and there's also, there's some issues about how they would fulfill the contract if the lawyer was no longer able to do so. They have all this, stuff that says they'll be able to do it. But I just look at it and say, why would you engage in that unless you know that you have a problem?
Exactly. It's like anything else in life, pay as you go and you'll be fine.
Tom, as always, thanks for taking time to appear on the program.
You're welcome.
More from Contemporary Retirement after these messages.
Few things in life are as important as family. Leave your insurance worries to us. Write Gardner. Call or visit our website to learn how we can make insurance simple and more affordable.
Every life that meets its end leaves a heart for love to mend. Sister, brother, family, friends are left to carry on. When the loss seems more than you can bear, it's nice to know that we'll be there at Douglas A. Fiery Funeral Home. We care.
Call Ed Lough to help put your mind at ease.
Welcome to a special guest feature on Contemporary Retirement. This segment focuses on various issues which are of importance to the retirement community. With me today is Matt Hurley, Matthew Hurley Auctions. Welcome to the show, Matt.
Hi, Mike. Good to be here.
Matt, we always have a lot of fun when you're on the program because as we're dealing with our viewers, oftentimes they're downsizing or perhaps somebody has passed and they're staring at a house and they're just overwhelmed.
Too much to do. Where do I start?
I oftentimes have people say to me, well, probate's awful. It can take years. And I always tell people, if it takes years, there's only one reason it's taking years. The kids are not breaking down the house.
Yeah, we can do that very quickly.
All right, and so as you look at that process, and we're going to talk about some items that we brought for show and tell today, but as somebody calls you and they're staring in the crosshairs of that house they can't manage, I know that you come in and you essentially create some piles. Tell us a little bit about the piles.
Yeah, and the easiest thing is just get us in the house. Let us take a look. What has value? What can we sell? What's important to you that you want to keep? What's sentimental value? What maybe can't sell and we can donate? And then there's always some things that just have to go. You can't sell them, and you maybe have to dispose of them. And we help make those piles and then help make it happen.
Well, of course, the family is sitting there, and they're absolutely stymied by what might be worth something.
Yeah.
And particularly because we've had significant transition in the marketplace from what was worth something 30, 40 years ago today is not worth a lot.
Even 5 years ago is how much it's changing. It's drastic. Things that used to be really valuable just aren't desirable now.
All right, we're going to do a little show and tell here. So I'm looking at this piece here. I remember seeing that in my grandmother's house. All right, I think Cameraman Clint has got it.
The reason I brought these, Mike, is to tell a story.
Okay.
Sometimes things like this sell, and people say, why did it bring so much? I sold a butcher knife one time for $7,000, and people were just in shock, and they said, what happened? They thought it was a valuable knife. Well, I had a brother and had a sister. that both wanted it. And they decided they were taking it home. And sometimes it gets me in trouble because the next week people brought me butcher knives and said, sell my butcher knife. And I had to tell them, well, yours is worth $2. And so I brought those because sometimes the most valuable thing is the sentimental value.
And of course, these are not terribly, particularly this, not terribly functional anymore, but people
But
still
they're very
like
collectible.
and for
People
decoration.
decorate. Yeah, and these are in great condition like they were never used.
Yep, they're very nice. And so one of the things you tell people, what's rule number one?
Don't throw anything away.
It doesn't matter how much you might think it's not worth anything.
And the things that you think are trash are what's worth the most.
Well, now this one here, I know is probably one of the oldest items that you've ever brought on our television.
It is. It's an actual stone from a tomahawk. And the reason I brought it is people say, Matt, that's very old. It has to be valuable. But that isn't necessarily true, because this is the oldest thing I can sell. But it's really not extremely valuable.
Not rare, and there's a lot of...
It's not rare, and it doesn't have to be old. It can be from the 70s, now even from the 80s, and be very collectible.
All right, well now we're looking at this piece here. Now, Singer, of course, was a big manufacturer of sewing machines, and they made, things that were almost the size of a forklift, down to this nice little portable piece.
I brought this one. This is called a featherweight. Okay. It's a small sewing machine. The reason I brought it is they can range in value from $100 to thousands of dollars, and they look almost identical. But it comes down to what's the serial number? What model is it?
And so this has a little electric motor here.
Yeah.
And this
little
one is
belt.
complete because it has the belt. And on the other side
Good
is
condition.
the light and a little bobbin thing and so forth. So with this, what would you anticipate this?
Probably about $300.
Wow.
Now, if it comes down to looking just like this but having a different serial number, it could be $1,500. And that's why we say don't just assume it's not valuable. It comes down to when was it made, what condition is it in, is it complete, and what's the serial number?
And of course, one of the other things is that, as family members are trying to work through breaking down the house, they don't know whether the stuff has value or not. And most of the time, I don't find families are very interested in scorekeeping. They're perfectly willing to let somebody have something if they want it. But it's also very important that you can contribute to that process in the event there is some concern about value.
Sure. We can give them ideas of value so they make sure things are evenly distributed and what their value was.
All right, now we have another sewing machine here.
Yeah, I brought this. It's really cute as a child sewing machine. Now, what makes this valuable is most people didn't keep the box. You can imagine Christmas morning, they open it up, the box gets thrown. But this one, not only is it in near perfect condition, but it still has the box. And if we look inside the box, it still has the instructions.
Wow.
And so the more complete you can make it, the more valuable it is. And so these are things that get lost, get torn, get thrown away. But yeah, we still have the instructions there. Everything's complete, like the day it was made, and this is, I would imagine, probably from the 50s.
And what would you guess on that?
Oh, probably about $50 or $75.
But don't throw anything.
Don't throw it away. It all adds up.
Matt, as always, where can people find out more information?
They can go on our website, hurleyauctions.com, or give us a call, 717-597-9100.
Don't throw anything.
Don't throw anything away.
Matt, as always, thanks for taking time to appear on the program.
Good to be here.
More from Contemporary Retirement after these messages.
Tranquility at Fredericktown Assisted Living and Memory Care provides a warm, home-like atmosphere that promotes daily life enrichment. At Tranquility, our medical director is a geriatric physician. Our professionals support and understand the various stages associated with Alzheimer's and dementia. We have on-site physical, occupational, and speech therapists, as well as around-the-clock licensed nurses. For more information, give Tranquility at Fredericktown a call today, because everyone deserves great care. Let us do the caregiving so you and your loved one can embrace life again.
All right, let's get this show on the road. Ma'am, give me a good push.
Hang on, just 1 minute.
Ma'am, I need you to push right now.
Honey, you really need to push.
It's time.
Just hold on a minute.
No, right now. One push, ma'am. One push.
Just one more bid on hurleyauctions.com.
If you haven't visited hurleyauctions.com, you don't know what you're missing. Whether you're buying or selling, antique cars, tractors, boats, or real estate, you can do it all at hurleyauctions.com.
Get to know Dr. Carrie Hesley at Diagnostic Imaging Services.
What I find most rewarding is caring for women through our Women's Imaging Center. We have a caring staff that will ease patients through an ultrasound, bone densitometry, breast biopsy, or mammogram. Our health team is sensitive to emotions involved in women's imaging and understands that every woman is at risk for breast cancer. Providing the community with a center that is so dedicated to breast health and the imaging needs of women is something special.
DIS Women's Imaging Center, providing women with progressive care.
Welcome to Contemporary Health Scene. Contemporary Health Scene focuses on the health issues affecting the retirement community. With me today is Carol Kaeser, Executive Director, Easter Seals of Washington County. Welcome to the show, Carol.
Thank you very much. Enjoy being here.
Carol, one of the things we have on the health segment here is that when we talk about adult daycare, people don't realize how essential that is not only to the health of the person who goes to Easter Seals, but also for their caregiver.
Most definitely, most definitely. And our goal, of course, is to allow people who have some medical issues to remain living in their homes, to prevent hospitalizations, institutionalization, but also very important is to help caregivers who often have young children that they're caring for, as well as an older relative. Sometimes they have jobs outside the home. So really, we're there to help the whole family.
And so let's talk about what a day at Easter Seals might look like.
Well, our vans, we have 4 vans that go around the county.
Why don't we pull up the picture of the van right now, Director Greg? Now, there's the van. We're not talking a little van. We're talking a substantial van.
That's correct. We can carry up to 14 clients on some of our vans.
And I see a big hole in the back of that. What's that?
That's right. That's our wheelchair lift. So we're able
to... So you go to people's houses, and it doesn't matter what their mobility challenge is, you're able to pick them up.
That's correct, yes. Yeah, we get them all tied down, and then and some of the people that we pick up first, of course, get a ride around the county.
They like that.
That's right, and so then they all end up at the center, and they start out their day with coffee, tea, juice, watch the local news. Then the whole group gets together and they talk about what the plans are for the day, what they would like to do.
So
and
it's not what you're imposing.
That's correct. We make some suggestions,
right.
But yes, and so then our day really starts, and we have clients that enjoy playing games. We have therapeutic games. We have clients who enjoy just sitting and socializing, which is very important for many of our clients who don't have that opportunity, who end up sitting at home watching TV if they didn't come to us. Then later on in the morning, they get ready for lunch.
Food.
Yes, that's right.
We never get too far from food.
That's right, that's right. And there are times during the month where they go out to a local restaurant, the lunch bunch.
Now let's talk about diets, though. Are we taking care of diets there?
Most definitely. We take into consideration special diets. We can puree food. We can do whatever is necessary.
And then how about medications and so forth?
Yes, we give medications. We have an RN on staff who gives medications, who does assessments, and who most importantly communicates not only with the physicians, the primary care physicians, but specialists, but also the caregivers.
All right, so we make sure that the meal is one that they're allowed to take.
That's right, that's correct.
Medications are being administered, so you don't have to go, well, we can't send them to Easter Seals because, we have to give a medication at noon.
Right, we can do that. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And
then what?
So then after lunch, we have kind of a short break where one of our staff reads a newspaper so people can keep up with current events. And there are some that choose that time to snooze a little bit, which is, that's okay. Right. And then more games, more socialization, and then snack. And then after snack, it's time to go home.
All right, so that day might start at what time?
Well, typically our clients start to get there about 9 o'clock.
Pickups might start at 8?
Right, between 8 and 8:30.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And then they get on the vans at 2 o'clock to go home.
So they might be 3 o'clock. So typically that caregiver is going to get 5-6 hour respite.
That's correct. And we are open until 4:30. So if necessary, clients, of course, can stay.
And they can be picked up if they're
That's right. And we have staff available to care for them.
All right. And then how many days a week are you open?
Well, we are open 6 days a week, Monday through Saturday.
That's a new.
That's right. That's right. And we're growing our Saturday program, so there's plenty of room.
And one of the interesting things is people always begin a conversation, my loved one is not going to do this.
That's right. And they almost all say that. But then once we get them into the center, they typically love it. It usually, by the end of the first day, when can I come back? And we have a very caring and loving staff that really helps.
And there's lots of men, lots of women. So
That's right.
So the fact is they'll find somebody that they can socially interact with, and oftentimes very quickly they're settled in and enjoying it.
Most definitely. Right.
And you do offer them a free consultation, right?
Oh, that's right. We have a free trial day. Anyone who is interested can call the center. Be happy to talk to them over the phone, then invite them for a tour. And then we can schedule a free trial day, and we can go from there.
And do not let cost deter you.
That's correct, yes. And funding can be very complex, intimidating, but that's why we're there, is to help with that.
Carol, as always, thanks for taking time to appear on the program.
Thank you.
More from Contemporary Retirement after these messages.
The Community Foundation strives to be a forward-thinking organization.
We are assessing needs, working with donors to see things differently,
so that Frederick County can be its best. It's a wonderful place for all of us to live, work, and play.
We look forward to addressing the future needs of the community.
Visit frederickcountygives.org and learn how you can start to see things differently too.
Albright Crumbacker Mal and Idtel are a full-service firm that provides elder care services, including managing incoming bills, bill payment, depositing checks, balancing bank statements, and preparing, planning, and filing personal tax returns. Put your mind at ease and call us today.
Welcome to the Making Sense feature on Contemporary Retirement. This segment focuses on the financial issues affecting the retirement community. With me today is Ed Lough, financial advisor, Northwestern Mutual Life Insurance. Welcome to the show, Ed.
Thank you. Good morning.
First of all, Northwestern Mutual, you guys have a title. What do you guys call yourselves?
Well, it's been known as the Quiet Company.
Largest life insurance underwriter on the planet, and yet very few people have ever heard of it.
Yeah, we have really over $1 trillion of death benefit in force, the most of any other company.
And there's a reason for that, because as I talk to clients as a rule, particularly when you're talking about long-term life insurance policies, ones that you are likely to keep an extended period of time, you always want to buy your policy from a mutual company, which Northwestern is. Why would that be the case?
Well, with the mutual company, the client, the policy owner, shares in the excess surpluses of the company, so they receive the dividends. In a stock company, the dividends are only received by the stockholders.
So you as a policyholder are an owner of the company. You're actually an owner. So
you are actually an owner, and the dividends...
So you make excess profits, it goes to you as an owner of the company.
It does, and actually those dividends will make your cash values larger, and they also buy additional insurance.
And so we use it as a rule of thumb. Now, if you're talking a 5 or 10 year level term policy, that may not necessarily be the case. But once you look at any sort of a long-term policy, almost always a mutual is going to be better.
It'll be better. The cash values will always go forward, and you'll always have the policy, and the cost, the premium of the product will not change.
Now, when we look at life insurance, no matter how you play games with it, there are basically just two types of policies.
Well, you have whole life, permanent, and you have term insurance.
And term insurance essentially says you're going to buy coverage for a specified period of time. But one of the things that happened in the 80s and the 90s in particular was the development of a hybrid product called a universal life or flexible premium policy that in essence blended these two policies. So you had cash value of a $5,000 and a $100,000 policy. How did they cover the other $95,000?
Well, you had insurance costs on those products, and whatever age you bought that policy at, that was the cost at that particular age. But Mike, every year that cost escalated as your age changed. So
each month that policy bought a term insurance policy for the difference between the cash value and that death benefit.
That's correct. And each year that term cost increased.
And so we saw a whole bunch of illustrations in the 80s and 90s in particular where they were suggesting they would make 8% per year on the investments, 10% per year. That was supposed to grow the cash value and eliminate the need for insurance purchases within the policy. But as we're well aware, that almost never happened.
Well, that didn't happen. The interest rate environment obviously changed drastically, and at this point you're looking at a 3.5% or 4% rate on the majority of those contracts.
And what you then see is, you read that statement and you get this statement, it's 12 columns wide and 6 columns deep and so forth. And you don't realize what that policy is actually saying is it says the coverage will lapse or terminate on June 1st, 2025. What does that statement actually mean?
What that statement means in reality is the cash value at that point will hit zero, and the life insurance benefit that you thought you were going to have your entire life just left. It's gone. It just disappeared.
Or you will be given the option at 70 or 75, you've had this policy 20, 25 years, to now pay the cost of term insurance each year in order to sustain that policy, which could be prohibitively expensive.
Well, very expensive. I've seen clients receive letters that say they need to make a payment of $8,000 as an example.
And what people don't realize is they have a policy, they're getting this spreadsheet once a year, and that policy has a cash value on it. What we're saying is as the cost of insurance increases as they get older, that cash value will diminish, which means the earnings will diminish, which then means the premium cost within the policy increases.
Yeah, your first warning sign is when you notice on that statement that your cash value is beginning to go backward. In relationship to that contract and a whole life contract, the cash value in a whole life contract will never go backward.
You know, the company, when you bought that whole life product, said pay the premium, we must pay the death benefit. And that universal life or flexible premium policy, the company said, you're participating with us in the investment. If the investment produces, then you get the benefit of this contract. And people don't realize it also said, if the investment does not produce, you will share in the losses and you may have no coverage.
I know from time to time people get statements from insurance companies and they really don't take any time to review them. If you have a universal life or a flexible premium type policy, which they're the same, but they're sometimes called different names, when you get that statement in the mail, you really need to look at it. Two basic things, or three basic things actually: the cash value, if it's still going forward or has it now begun to go backward. You can watch the cost of insurance increasing on that statement each month, and also at the bottom they'll tell you if that policy is going to terminate at a certain year.
On the other hand, my Northwestern policy just says send $500. That's all it says.
That's all it says, and it's not going to change.
That's true. Ed, as always, thanks for taking time to appear on the program.
Thank you.
Thank you from Contemporary Retirement.
Remember a more carefree time? Leave your insurance worries to us, Wright Gardner. Call or visit our website to learn how we can make insurance simple and more affordable.
These days, it seems like everything's online, and filling out claim forms and receiving and paying bills online isn't always easiest. That's why we at Quality First Insurance encourage you to just give us a call. Let us help.
Hi there, I'm Paul Sweeney with Quality First Insurance, and it's still just as simple. Our offices are open every weekday where you'll be able to call and speak to real, live people.
No detail was missed. I'm so glad that I turned to Quality First Insurance.
I've recommended Quality First Insurance to my friends who've been just as satisfied.
If you're not happy with what you're paying for Medigap, or more importantly, not happy with your service, give us a try. We're locally owned, and we take the time to provide you with the best. We are Quality First Insurance, and our mission is to provide quality products to quality people. Pick up the phone and give us a call today at 800-745-1411.